Hey everyone, welcome to the DOS Trading Simulator Training. Let's get it started here. We're going to go to this website and download and sign up for a 14-day free trial of the real-time simulator. So let's create a username, password, name, phone, and email. All right, so now that that's done, we're going to need to remember this email right here because we're going to use it later. So copy that. Let's go to our email. Open up that email that you received from DOS, download the platform, and now we are going to click the exe file, wait for it to download. We're going to open that file, bring it on down, click next, install on our C drive. We're done. Now we're going to run the file, click finish. This is what you see. You got to agree to these release notes, agree to the disclaimer of warranty, and so on and so forth. Jump in with our user ID. Oh, wrong user ID, sorry. Put our extremely sensitive and strong password in. Answer the security questions. All right, let's click submit. This is a Google Drive file. The link to this will be in the description below the video. Download everything, just right click and click make a copy, and that'll go into your own Google Drive, or click download. We'll click download. These files are templates for all of the stuff I'm about to show you how to set up. So if you would like to skip, just download and extract these files as I am doing. Save those to your desktop so you can easily find them for the next time around when you need to open those files in DOS Trader. So let's go to DOS Trader, click File, Open Desktop, and locate the files. We saved them to our desktop. Here's the folder, and there are two templates right there for the desktop platform.
In this section, we're going to go over the montage for DOS Trader. The montage little quick link can be found right here on the far top left of DOS Trader Pro toolbar. You can click that, and then the montage window will appear as you see here. The montage window is broken down up from top to bottom. I'll go over this. Top to bottom, top left, right here is where you can enter a ticker. So we're going to enter ticker VHC. Then up here, you have the uptick or downtick that's based on the time and sales. This is the high of the day. This is the low of the day. The previous closing price. This is what exchange it trades on, which A is Amex. Last price, net change on the day, percent change on the day, volume traded on the day. And this anchor is to link it to other windows. So I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. Level 1 gives you the best bid and the best ask, which is just the first bidder here and the first seller here. This is the VWAP, or the volume weighted average price. Now this is actually a customizable field, and you can right click and it gives you a bunch of stuff you can choose from. You can choose VWAP, which should be for the whole day, which includes pre-market and after hours, or you can just do it since the open and exclude pre-market. You can see the total trades on the day, so you can see how each of these will change ever so slightly. Total trades on the day, 6,900 trades went through on the time and sales. Dollar volume, you can see the dollar volume traded on the day there. Imbalance data, bid ask size, you can see the 1 by 2,000. Company name, which is also displayed up top here. Opening price, which is very handy. Trade price trend, you can see what type of ticks are happening. So you can see it's met with 1 uptick by 2 down, 2 up, 2 down, 2 up, down, up, and you can kind of see how the trend changes and what the trend of the prints are on the time and sales. The market timeline, The market timeline is broken down by pre-market on the left side here. The green bar is the regular session. The far right gray bar will be after hours, and the arrow indicates where you are. As you can see, the market just closed after hours. Price picker. Recommend messing around with this. You can move it around left or right, and when it's on a trading day, you will see different figures here. Reference symbol. You can display the reference symbol right here. But first, you have to define one. So let's say we reference the SPY, and we're looking at Apple. Now we can see what the SPY is trading at versus what Apple is trading at. So you'll be able to watch the level 1 bid and ask right here on the correlating market to whatever you're trading. This S right here stands for shortable. That's if your broker is able to have shares to short. Let's go back to VHC, SSR, or short sell restriction. This means that if you are going to short, you have to short into an uptick. So somebody on the bidding side has to execute your sell on the ask only. So that means that if you are going to short this ticker, you would have to be up here at 4.3 and so on. These are different montage tabs based on market makers, which will display different data throughout the day. The montage is a compilation of everything. INET will be their montage or their book, and this will be the ARCA book. This here will break down different data as time goes on. This is like a history. So if you want to see the history of what you have done with this ticker, you can click here and it will show all of that stuff. This will be your size that you want to enter. You could say a 500, whatever it may be, and then you can arrow up or down here. If you click this P, it will display your position right here. If you're able to hide size, you can display 100 shares here, but actually wanting to be buying, 5,000 or whatever. Here is where you change your route. These are all the routes available to me. Yours will be different unless you have the same broker as I do. Let's just choose ARCA, and now we can choose our price over here, and so on. This is a preferred route. So like if you choose like limit over here and then you have a preferred route, you can put that in right here. Day plus, this is the time in force. So day plus will be after hours and pre-market and regular session. Day will just be during regular session. Instant or cancel, good till canceled. At the open, this will fill in the open auction during market open. This will fill only at market closing auction. So this is fill or kill, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 10 minutes. So these are like times that you want the order to be in force. If it's not executed in that time, it will be canceled. Any is the minimum share amount. So this means that you want to execute anything of your 5,000 shares. If you want all or none, you can click here or in hold. This will allow you to choose your account number there. You can choose post only, which means it will just post the order. It won't necessarily go live. That way when you want it to go live, you can click it to make it go live. And this means do not route out. Here's how you lock the montage. This is how you get help. And this is how you load your default order. So if you have a default order that you can actually do, so if you hover over this area here, you can actually right click and get these different options. So you can go in here to route configure, order template, trading settings, style, and layout configure. We'll click layout configure first, and you can see that these are the options available. They are all available right now, and I want them to show the company name in the title bar, which means that is up here. Now, Style, I can choose all kinds of different styles. So that means that I could choose a default style, which is what we're viewing right now, or basic style, which will switch the buttons around. So this will be the basic style. You just pick and choose whatever you like. You right-click that blank area over there again. You can go back and you can choose stop order. And now you're able to set stop types when you choose the stop route and you choose market, limit, trailing, or range. You can choose each one of those, trigger price, trailer price, or whatever it is. If you choose a range order, you'll get low range, high range. This just means what prices you want to execute at, whether you're stopping out or taking profit. Either or will execute. Detailed order. This shows everything, and as you could imagine, a very detailed montage. You want to set up trigger orders. You can do that here. Trigger orders are nothing more than if this happens, trigger this order, this happens, trigger this order. An OCO order, this means that one cancels the other, and you can see it's the same montage except you just have this tab here. So what it means is you'll build an order to sell your position for a profit up here, and your stop will be down here. Or you can use this actually to scale into a position as well. If you want to set OCO orders to only go live at certain price ranges, you can do that, and then cover at certain price ranges. Full, we're back to the same type of montage, but as you can see, it clicked over to ARCA. We're going to go back to montage, and you've got sell, short, cancel, replace, and buy. Usually, the sell and the short buttons will either turn into a sell or a short, depending on your position, whether you're long or short. But when you do this one, you see everything. Trading settings. This here is going to allow you to customize this window completely. So you can enable a send order confirmation, which means that when you click the order to go live, it will pop up with a window and say, do you want this to go live? And you got to click again and click yes. That prevents, whether you're accidentally clicking buttons or not. Check duplicated order. Price check. That's not like Walmart. Price does not change when route changes. I actually like this option. Add a penny to the short price on the down arrow. So that's like if you're a gamer and you invert your controls, like if when you go down in the price, you want it to actually go up in pennies, that's what you can do. If you want to clear the price after the execution happens, you can do that here. That way that you just get a refreshed montage after the order goes through. You can choose to reject the order if the price box is empty, if it's a limit order. Or you can just default to buy at the bid or sell at the ask if the price box is empty, which means you will just be adding liquidity. Reset to default route after execution. I'll show you how to set default routes. Enable tooltips. Post only. If you only want the orders in this montage to post, you can choose that. Use the last price to calculate your unrealized profit. I like this option because I like to see it as it goes along. Disable montage window hint, which means that when I hovered over this stuff, it told me what it was over here. Disable stop order confirmation. So I have this checked that way that when I create a stop order, it immediately goes live. Overnight buying power mode, again, contact your broker if you have that availability. Enable fast stop limit order. Do not load order settings when switching symbols. That means that whatever you put down here, when you switch symbols, don't put the default order load, don't put the default stuff back in there. So there you go. Default to position after a symbol is entered, which just means that when you change the symbol up here, your default position will load. Reset to default shares after execution. This means that no matter, it won't default to your position, rather than it's gonna default to, let's say you shorted 1,000 shares, or you bought 1,000 shares, but you already hold 1,000 shares and your new position's like 2,000. It's gonna go back to how you normally set your default orders, rather than showing your position. Number of shares do not decline with execution. This is just a visual thing. Set number of shares to position after execution. This is just my preference. Set default order after order is sent. You can add the gradient effect, which gives it this like green down here and lighter green up here, and so on and so forth. But if you just want them to be basic, just uncheck that box. Don't automatically load route list. Refresh the list, refresh preferences. You can change the account colors here. See how mine changed when we went back to that. That's how that looks now. Now, order template. This you can walk through on each exchange. So if it trades on the AMEX, this order load happens. If it trades on the NASDAQ, this happens, so on and so forth. You can change that exchange right here and choose those. You can also set a default here. I've got it chose to use the global default. Now, something to note is that if you're going to do this, you have to close down all of your other montages and start fresh with new montages. That way that when you create something, it goes in there. So we'll just do one for NASDAQ here. And we're going to say 1,000 shares is our standard. And then our route, we want it to always default to ARCA. We want any always, day plus always, and then we are going to uncheck use global default. We're going to apply that. If we want to do this for default, we're going to go down here and we're going to go to, let's say, like 1,000. Our route is going to be ARCA limit, any, day plus. I'm going to apply that. Now we're going to quit. Now when we change a symbol, the new route should load. Nope, and it didn't. So we got to go back in here. Try it again. So now that we've changed our settings, we have told it to not load a default order when switching symbols, so we have to undo that. Now when we switch symbols, it will load the default order here for the AMEX. And if we go back to Apple, it should load our different stuff. And it doesn't for some strange reason. Because we have that checked. So let's go to VHC, and we're going to go back to Apple. Now it loads down here. There we go. Route configure. This can allow you to see which routes are available based on which exchange is listed up at the top here. I don't mess with that stuff. And that's the montage. Okay, so this is time and sales, and the hotkeys up top here in the toolbar, you can click that. Time and sales window will come up. We're going to move it down. We're going to bring up 2 time and sales windows for this purpose. Here, if you right click in the time and sales window, you can configure it or auto fit whatever prints that you have. We're going to configure ours. You can choose the font size by clicking in this area here. and choose whatever font you want, type, and then size. You can do whatever effects you want on it. Sample is what it will look like, and then the script and so on, show more fonts, whatever you want to do, you can customize from there. Horizontal grid line basically will separate each print. A vertical grid line will separate each column. And then shares divided by 100, what that means is if 100 shares prints on the time and sales, you'll see a 1 instead. I personally like to see the actual print size instead of the divisions. You can do abbreviations. You can see the NYSE tape only. Merge same time and exchange. So that means if the same time happens and the same exchange happens, it's going to lump those together. I don't like to see that. I like to see everything. Performance, you can see less flicker or fast paint. Just click those and watch the tape. That way you can see which one you like or whether it's useful to you. I don't use them. Monitor groups. This is for certain market makers. If you want to see certain exchanges going through on the tape, you can tell it to highlight that right here, and it can highlight the whole row right there. This allows you to filter to see only these exchanges going through on the tape. Right now we see all of them. These are the different colors available here. You can click this and it'll allow you to change whichever one you have chosen in that. I just use the default like this. If you want to see these different options in the columns over here, I just want to see price and quantity. I don't even want to see the time or the exchange, but a lot of people like to have time up here. And you can use symbol or bid or ask or all this extra information over here. You can have it update the last and update volume and so on. I do this filter right here so you can check to only see prints that are greater than or equal to 50 shares. That way you just filter out some of that odd prints that are going through that really don't have much meaning, because really anything over 50, is starting to get into that. Really it's 100. So, but if something like 99 comes through, you might want to see that. I don't know. 50 is just what I like. You make up whatever one you like, and then you can save it as a default. That way that each of them that you open from there on out are going to pop up that way. We're going to click OK. But now what we're going to do is we're going to configure this one to show greater than or equal to 50 shares, or basically all of the tape. And then over here we're going to configure this one to only show prints that happen greater than or equal to, let's say, 3,000. You can use 4,000 or 5,000, whatever it is. We'll just use 4,000 here and then click OK. The purpose of this is filtering the tape. That way you can slow down the tape for the size that's going through over here. So then you would pull up a montage. Now we can use this anchor to click, drag, and drop right there. And then now we can click, drag, and drop over here. Now you see there's no prints happening over here because nothing happened over here greater than 4,000. So now you can expand or whatever one you want to do to see that stuff, size it up, and get it ready to go. We're going to talk about charting in this section. So up here you can see this little tab that looks like a bunch of bars. When you click that, that's your chart package, or the little hotkey for that. Brings up the default window here. So we're going to walk through how to set up settings and so on and so forth. So starting at the top left, these are your chart hotkeys. This is data config, which is the same thing as right-clicking and choosing data config, but data config is how you switch tickers. So here you can go to like Apple, and we've got a minute chart or a daily chart, and then you can choose which minutes. These are the default minutes, but these can be changed. So for instance, here you could type a 3-minute chart and it's going to calculate. You can tell it to whether to show pre or post market or not, or do blank bars automatically, or you can choose a specific date range. If you want to choose a specific date range, you choose this blank section above these time frames, and you can type the date that you want to see. So let's say we want to see 12/31. 2018 to 01/03 2019. Commit. It tells us the range is too large. So you can see on a 3-minute chart, the maximum is 1,500 points. So really what that means is you just need to shorten it by 1 day. Just go to here, arrow down, commit, and here's our chart. So on this chart, now we have a couple different sections that we can start from. Up here at the top left, again, we're just working through this. This tab is called Study Config. This is where you can add different chart studies and different customizations. Price study will just show the studies in the chart, and you can configure that here. You can choose what line you want the color to be. So if you see these little blue lines in the background, that means that when it's like a doji or the open is equal to the close of the candle, the candle is going to be blue. I personally like white, it just sticks out a little bit better. If you want the body of the candle to be green on an up candle and red on a down candle, you check that. If you want the body to be hollow, you uncheck here or uncheck here. I personally like hollow green candles and solid red candles. You can choose borders if you want to see that as well, a white border. You can customize the wicks if you want to see that. I like my wicks to be the same color as the candle. I don't want to see a big white wick with a green candle, but if you like that stuff, you can do that here. Lower wick, you can do that there. Show trades. This is how you can see the little arrows on DOS charts for where you got executed. So you check that box there. If you want to see your orders where they are sitting on the chart before they're executed, you click Show Orders, and it'll put a little triangle right there where your order is waiting. That way you can kind of get a visualization on where your order sits relative to what you see on the chart. So we're going to commit this. We don't want a border. We're going to leave it as a candle chart, but you could change to a bar chart or a line chart right here. We're going to commit that. I'm going to do config example. Then we're going to do config X, which is display study in left top. That means the price will display up here. The information will include it in the scale. Yes, we want to do that. We want all price data to be in the chart scale. And we want to display latest value on the y-axis. That's what this does over here. There's another section that actually does that stuff. Now, as we're editing up here, we have to be conscious of what we want to display in the chart area for the price, whether we want moving averages or we want the volume to display up here. So like if we put a volume bar up here and we did this, and then we click commit, your volume is going to be on this part of the chart and it's going to interfere with your price action. But if you want it to display in a different section, you configure that area. So we're going to go to study config, we're going to remove that again. Now if we want a moving averages up here, like let's say we want VWAP in this study over here, we have our color like this. We can tell it to calculate for pre and post market hours, commit that. We want to make sure we include it in the scale, and then we commit, and now there's our VWAP line. But keep in mind, what you want to display up here is whatever you want to see in correlation with your price action. If you want a new area, like this volume bar is down here, you'll actually right-click, choose Chart Area, and you're going to do Add New Area After if you want it to display after the volume, or add new area before if you want it to be above. So if you want above right here, this is how I always customize it. Right click, go to chart area, and then go to configure area, and now uncheck show previous close, label, and ruler, and last price. Uncheck all of those so you'll just have study info, and when you commit it, you'll just get a blank chart like this. Same goes for the volume bar section down here. You can configure that area by doing that, unchecking these boxes here, and committing that. That way that you just see the time on the price section up here. Also, if you want to resize these things, you just hover over and your cursor will turn into that little measurement tool, and you can click it and drag it around. But let's say we want to add a study in here. We're going to go to Study Config in this section. So I'm going to right click in this section, choose Study Config, and now down here, let's say I want stochastics down here. If I were to trade that way, I can configure stochastics here with 1833 showing label values, the oversold and overbought values here. I can choose the line styles for those oversold and overbought sections, moving average type, whether I want it to be a simple moving average or an exponential, so on and so forth, do all kinds of customizations, commit, and then there are my stochastics in that section. Top left here, this is going to be a chart history. So this is going to tell you the last 20 tickers and 20 different time frames you looked at. This is just kind of like a show recent, really quick way to get back to it. This bar here is a horizontal bar, which will now display horizontal lines very quickly, and this will display vertical grid lines very quickly. This plus and minus are to zoom in on the chart or zoom out. This is called zoom fit, so that means it will fit all the price action back into that. So if we are completely zoomed in over here and we want to immediately go back out without having to do that, we're going to click this and it takes us right back out all the way. This says that my pointer is selected. This allows me to drag the chart around. So if I'm zoomed in and I want to drag the chart around, I can do it by the hand tool. And it'll zoom as we go along. And as you can see, my moving averages over here in stochastics change as I go through each candle. So if you kind of want to see how things play out in real time, you can just drag, or you can go down here to this little scroll bar and just click each candle advances and see how it looks on stochastics, or so on and so forth, whatever you want to look at. Kind of is a way to go back and see how it played out real time. This plus sign looking thing actually is crosshairs. So the crosshairs, when you click it, it will display the crosshairs there. And that is a setting that I have turned on. So this is the drawing tools. So you can draw a trend line, a ray line, horizontal or vertical. You can do a text note, rectangle, Fibonacci lines, projections, and arcs, or you can remove all notations on the chart. A trend line will just be from point A to point B as far as you draw it. If you do a ray line where you click here and then go this direction, you see how it spans out that whole direction. So if we want to draw a ray line based on these tops right there, you can see that it just lines up, boom, 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 and then it finally breaks it instead of doing a trend line and drawing it and then trying to intersect. You can do a ray line. Horizontal line is simply just a horizontal line all the way across the chart. Vertical line will notate time for you. See if you want to notate a time and a price, you can see where that intersects. Text note, if you want to put text on the chart, it will look like this, but if you hover over, you can actually put this little call out thing, like, you know, the little bubble in Snoopy or whatever it is. So if you want to edit that, you can either double click when the hand looks like this, or you can right click and choose configure, and then type whatever text you want to see in here, like my investing club. You change the text over here to whatever you want, color or size. Background, you can make it whatever background color you want. Draw the call out, which is this over here. Draw the border or line style there. And then click OK. And there is our text. So if I wanted to notate something about this candle right there, I could do that, whatever you want to do, and you can put your text there, so on and so forth. Now you'll notice that this will actually snap to the different candle. It won't let you go in between, so it's a really good way to be able to notate something there. So you'll see the A, and you'll be able to be quickly recalled if you just click after the last thing you used, and you can just keep adding notes and so on and so forth. These are quick time frames, which is the exact same thing as you see these buttons over here. 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 60 minute, daily chart, and weekly chart. Now you can see that it will start to look a little weird based on what we drew over here. So if you want to remove all those lines, you just drop down, click remove all lines, and everything's gone, and we're back to normal. So that is your toolbar up top. Now there's a lot more inside right-clicking in the chart and choosing configure. Here you can uncheck that horizontal and grid line that we did over here. You can go back to normal. You can choose a day separator line, which will just separate based on dates. So today is a new day. It'll print a day separator line just to kind of let you visually see. You can see the market open and the market close lines as well, kind of help you separate out pre-market versus regular session or after hours. If you want the name to display in the background, you click Show Title right here. And then you're going to, Y position is just kind of where you want it to display on the chart. Most people choose 1/4. In here, you will choose a color that you want. Most people, again, are like white. Do like 18 size text. And then now when we click off of here, you will see a name display. So now we can customize our study names down here, like our price on the right side. If we want to change the text, we could click here. We can just do like regular text, and we can do like 8 size font there. And then over here, under labeling the price and the time area, we can change that as well to match, and it matches. And number of decimals that you want to display over here in the little price section are right now are 2, but if you trade stocks that trade less than $1, you may want to increase that to 4 because they go out to 4 decimalization points. Chart background, if you want to change your background color in your charting to like white, you can actually do that, or you can define a custom color. And I actually did this with a Thinkorswim chart, an old Thinkorswim chart. I really liked the color of those and how they looked. And so I went and defined the color, and I found what their RGB colors were for the blue background and everything like that, and how to make it look like it in here. And I just defined that in there, and I'll show you guys that setting in a little bit. But you can change all those different backgrounds and everything right here. Axis line color, right now ours is green. If we're going to a white chart, we probably want to go to black. Footer text we can choose to show up down here, which will show data. If we want to show the footer, we can show it. If not, just leave it there. Use the mouse wheel to scroll instead of zoom, so that means it'll scroll left or right instead of zooming. And then slow or fast, the speed on that. You can choose global trend lines or auto load and save those trend lines. I recommend just kind of messing around with that and just seeing what you like. Fixed location for a tip will show up here at the top or just anywhere, whatever you choose, transparency and show on. Don't show the tip window upon left clicking. So what that means is if I want to see like this candle data, when I click here, it's going to give me like a information window with like open, high, low, close, time, and volume, and so on. That's the tip window. Margins, if I want to increase my right margin a little bit and give myself a little room, I could choose this, and I could say like 10 over here and then do a fixed margin, and that way that it always stays. And then only show margin for last point. You could customize that as well. Top margin, you could shrink that down. I personally like 15, that way that you have room to see what's over here, and then some chart space up top. Line style for the crosshair you can choose here. Draw the crosshair when the mouse moves. This is what I was telling you where I have to click in order to see my crosshair, but if you want to see it all the time, when you hover over with your mouse, you will check this box. If you want to save your trend lines, you can save those here. If you want to be able to double click your chart to have it pull up a new montage, that way you can quickly trade based on what you see on the chart, you can do that by clicking there. Use large toolbar icons. It just is going to enlarge these icons up there. And then display the trend line information. You can choose to do that as well based on like the grade of the slope or the points, endpoints, and so on. You can choose that by clicking that. We'll click OK, and now we have our chart differences. So now when we do our trend line here, we're going to get from like the low, and then we're going to see how it changes. You can see the price change and the number of bars all the way up to the high there. You can see the range of what it changed, price change. When you hover over the line, it tells you what it is, the percent change, the price, and the number of bars that it changed over. Then we can right click it, and we can remove, or we can send to global from there, and so on and so forth. Now, if we want to save this chart setting, we can go in here to right click again, and we will choose Save Settings. Choose Save Settings. We can choose whatever setting name we want to choose. So let's say we just say like test, and then we can go over here and save it. And now when we go to pull up a new chart, we can right click and click Load Settings, and we can choose Test, and it'll be right back to where we wanted to go, and we can go to Data Config, and we can now pick a ticker, and we are there. Now if we want to print this chart, we can actually choose to print this chart by right-clicking in any area and then choosing Print. And now it'll give you all of your printer options right there. Beware, it does print kind of funny. The text is very, very small. Chart history. This tells you that chart history that I was talking about in this little drop-down menu right there. You can save references to charts that you want to look at all the time, and you can just go through that history really quick and recall it. Right here, Data Manage, if you're a data lover like I am, you can actually download this data that's selected in the chart. So if you want to download this weekly candle data right here, you can click Data Manage, and it will give you the days right there. And now you want to export the daily data. And if you want export day data or minute data, you click yes or no. So for day, we click yes. So we're going to click yes. And now what we're going to do is we're going to name that. And what you have to do is this. So if you say Apple, and then you have to type .csv, or else it will not save as an Excel file that you can read or import into any other study sheets. So you have to click .csv. So for this, that's how you save it, and then you'll click Save. And then you can go in and analyze the data on that chart very quickly. You can look at its history of gap percentages, you can look at its trend, its maximum consecutive red days, green days, so on and so forth, and learn the stock's performance. Now in all of my settings here for all of my charts, I will share with you my colors. So like this is the one I mentioned that looks like Thinkorswim charts. So if you like this, I went out and found this charting colors and customized it myself. And then if you want to go in there and look at what that looks like, you click Configure. Here's how it all saves and so on. So the background color is actually 7, 1, and 87. So if you like that color, that's the background color for Thinkorswim charts. Study, I chose the olive color. It looks like the lines, so on and so forth for that text. 2 decimal points. And then vertical grid lines, which are this color. 63, 52, and 45. Those are the actual grid line colors. So if you want everything to match, you can change that stuff to this color. 63, 52, 45. So over here, you can't customize these. You can only choose from these, so the one that looks closest is olive. And that's how you load a bunch of crazy fonts right there. Click OK, and we go back. But this is my favorite charting right here. I just personally like how that looks. It's how I've always read it, and I think it looks really good. So now if we want to go ahead and look at this stuff on a time frame of how we would make it work with the montage and the time and sales, we will bring that up now. So here is our montage and time and sales. We're going to choose, let's say we choose like Netflix. And this is what it looks like. Now we want to link this montage, that way when we change the ticker here, it changes it everywhere else. So we want to click this anchor, drag it over to the left to the time and sales, and then we want to click the anchor again and drag it to the chart. And now you can see that it immediately changes. So now as we change our ticker over here, we can now choose whatever we want to see. Pivot points are a study that I have saved on this chart. So what I did was I loaded the VWAP and then pivot points. So the pivot point setup, you will do this. You will go to Study Configure. You will scroll down and you will choose the pivot point study. Select it. It will show up over here. You will go to Configure. These are the colors that I have saved there. You will choose 1 day period. Line, label pivot lines, that way that you see the price. Config X, and you will uncheck include in scale. If you do not uncheck include in scale, they will squish your chart down. Commit that. Now if you don't see pivot lines like this, and let's say that you only see them on like a 5-minute chart and they look like this, and when you click the 1 minute they don't show up. See how they don't show up now? If you just hover over the left side, you can go to the previous day when your arrow turns to that, and you can just left click and you'll get that day. And now it loads multiple days. What you do is you just go back up here and you click 1 minute, and now it's refreshed and it's loaded. So it's just a little kind of hack there, but that's how it looks. Another thing we could do is, let's say we want multiple charts. We'll recall this setting by clicking Load Settings, Blue. We have that chart setting now. We will resize that chart to fit right here. And let's say that we want like a daily chart above and then a minute chart down below. Let's say we want to operate on like a 5-minute chart, so we can change this to 5 minutes. Commit that. Now we see 5-minute bars right here. Now on this one, let's say we want a daily candle chart, so we're just going to drag and click, we're going to click and drag our anchor over, and now we have our daily candle chart where we will want to remove these studies. And let's say we remove the pivots, and we remove VWAP, and let's say we add like a moving average here. We can do this and then configure. We can choose like a simple 200-day moving average. Now, this is an interesting thing about studies, is the source. A lot of people will choose just the close for simple moving average, but you can also calculate it based on different data. So when you calculate it based on high and low and close and so on and so forth, you're using volatility. Close, you know it at the close. Calculate it on volume. You can actually get a moving average based on the volume if you want to see that. Commit that. And commit here. So our chart looks kind of funky. We need to reset it, get it back to normal by just clicking around on our time frames. And that is our 2-hour period simple moving average based on the close, and the value displays up here. The price candle breakdown, this is the recent high, low, open, and last price. Same goes down here. So now let's say we want to recall a historical time frame, and let's say we want to look at this panic right here. Now how I just did that, where I selected that date range specifically on this chart, you click Shift on your keyboard, left click and hold, and then you're going to drag around the area that you choose. You can also see in these drag zoomer statistics that the range of volume that I choose goes along with the actual information, and I can choose and see what the high in that range was and the close in that range was, and I can see the dates that I've chosen by the from and the to, and so on and so forth. This is that tip window I was telling you about earlier. So if I want to see this time frame, I let it go, and I want to see this panic between 7:03 and 7:06. I'm going to go down to my minute chart, click data configure, and I'm going to change my dates right here to 7:03 to 7/6/2018, and commit that, and there we have it. There's that information. So now you can look up historical chart information. I believe 1 minute charts will allow you to go back either 6 months or greater. 5 minute charts will go back, I think, like a year. And the longer the time frame goes, the more history that is saved. Of course, you can download that data too, again, by right-clicking and clicking Data Manage. You can download the minute candle data based on this date range right there. And then you're going to export the day data and then click No for the minute candles. In this section, we're going to talk about hotkey configuration. Up at the top here, next to the clock, is what's called hotkey configure. That's the quick link to get there. Touch hotkey configure, and these are all the different hotkeys I have set up currently. I don't use hotkeys to trade, but I do use hotkeys for things such as technical analysis tools and chart recall, and I use it in the montage window to arrow up and down my orders. So here are all the different settings I have for the hotkeys, but let's just go ahead and create one and just walk you through how you do that. So add new item, and then you can go through new script building, which these are all the different scripts available. This is for trading. You can go to price, you can do share size, you can do show shares, default shares, routing methods, time and force, all kinds of stuff in here. And also down here, you can pull up windows and things like that. Basically, you can make almost anything a hotkey. For me, I like to see stuff like chart window. So like that data config that you have to click on the chart and then click data config to change the ticker. What I do is I just make that a hotkey. And so I click data config and then I'll click add, and then it loads it right here as the script. And then I just name it data config, which is already one of mine. And so as you can see right here, data config is F9. So when I'm on a chart, I just hit F9 on my keyboard, and it immediately jumps to the data configuration window, and I'm able to change. You can do that to study or area or zoom in, zoom out. Most folks do preload, which is the number pad plus or minus, and then the zoom fit, which was telling you where you do the best fit, where it zooms everything out and you're back to normal, is you just do the asterisk and on the number pad. But if you want to load custom things, you can do that in here, and you can change each thing. So trend line, this is one thing I like. I have a horizontal line hotkey, and so when I click right here, when I click page down, it immediately goes to a horizontal line hotkey, so I can draw a resistance or support very quickly without having to go through all the motions. And then I also can pre-build the script, or it also has pre-built scripts. So you can look at, the simple desktop, or increase price by this much, buy these type of things, switch ranges, so on and so forth. You can do all that different stuff. Order script wizard, this is how you build custom order scripts to make hotkeys. You can say, I want to buy like let's say you want to do half of your buying power. You can do whatever's equal to half of your buying power, and we'll always leave the symbol blank because then it'll just default to whatever's in the montage. Price, you can change to when you're buying, let's say you want to buy at the ask plus 2 cents for slippage. You want it to always route to that route, or that's a market route, so that won't matter. So let's do ARCA. Time and force, you always want a day plus order. You want to always mask your shares with 100. Your mode is you want to load and send. If you just click load, it'll just load the order, and then you have to manually click buy. So now we're going to load and send, and then we will build the script, and it will populate all of the little tasks to do up here. And if you want to define this, let's say you like to scale in pieces, you can just type an amount. Let's say you like to scale in 500 share increments or 1250, whatever you want to do, and then you go back to build script and it changes that right there too as well. And then you can make that a hotkey right here, and let's say that you want that hotkey to be like Control 5, and that can be your buy at the ask hotkey to get in real quick. And then you can just commit it, and that's it. Next, we're going to talk about watch lists. So watch lists you can find under the Quotes tab up top. And you go to Market Viewer, and you can save up to 20 different watch lists. And so you can see that these are the default ones. This is the one I have right here. Currently, these are the stocks that I have on watch, and this is how I set it up. So you can configure your watch list like this, and you can go, you can delete each row that's extra, or you can make a new row. You can also view the top lists. So if you would like to view the NASDAQ top percent gainers, you click there, and there are your NASDAQ top percent gainers. You filter by volume, and there are your top percent gainers. Now if I want to see NYSE gainers, I'm going to switch to here, and now here are my NYSE gainers. Or I can view tickers making new highs, and or tickers making new lows, or both. Or I can look at a user-defined list, which this is mine, and then I can save this, export it, import it, do auto fit, which just automatically aligns the cells. But if I want to configure this, I can change the name of the watch list here. I can change the font here. If I want horizontal and vertical grid lines to separate that, that's what that's for. Flash update. These last colors will change. So if it's making a new high, then it will turn green, or lows will turn red. So that's what I have right here set for these colors. So if you want to set your stuff like mine, this is how it looks. All of these are black. These two are green, or green and then red. And then the colors are set up like this, but I don't have this enabled. So I use 0 decimal numbers because it will default to whatever it's trading at. And then I have these columns over here added. And over here, you can change all kinds of stuff that you want to see. I keep it very simple. You can customize it however you like to, but all I want to see is really volume percent change and just VWAP. That way I don't have to chart that, but I can just see where it's at in relation to it. Now we're going to take a look at the trades window. So this will be your individual executions. So if you want to find that, you click trade, and then you will go down to trades. And this will be whatever your executions are for the day. These are mine currently. And time symbol side, this means was it a sell, was it a buy, was it a short, or was it a buy order? So how you can customize this is you can also right click and click configure, or you can print your executions or export as an Excel. Again, also if you export this, you are always going to, let's say you like use Trader View and you want to import it, you're always going to do, let's say for instance these would be my 1, 10, 19 trades. You're always going to do .csv after the name, that way that it saves, and then you can export into whatever you want to use. Then if we go back and we right click and we choose configure, we can choose the font and background and colors that we want right here, or if we only want to see certain symbols or certain sides or routes, we can also change our columns right here so you can see your P&L per execution, liquidity type, security type, ECN fee, so on and so forth through there. These are the 4 that I look at just because I want to see the execution, and that's it. Then you can order those around by clicking up and down right here as well. And that's it for the trade window. Next, we're going to take a look at orders. So this is going to be your order entry box that shows your live orders for the day. So you will see an order right here. These are the columns that I have selected. So this X will be to cancel whatever specific order. The status will show accepted if it's live, and the symbol will show what your symbol is. The side will be whether it's a buy or a short or a sell, and then your price, quantity, and then the time that it went live over here, the route that it's going through, the type of order it is, and the time in force, whether it's day plus or so on. You can configure again through here. You can add different columns using each of these, whatever you want to see in your order windows. And then you can say to keep the orders sorted by account symbol and price, show your closed orders. So if you want to see all of your orders that went down, you can show that here. And then you can filter everything through there. So as you can see, if I configure this, I have checked the show closed orders box, and now once I click OK, it shows me everything. These are all my canceled orders, my executed orders, and everything throughout the day. So I can go back and look at these, and I can see my canceled orders, and I can go back and look at the chart and say, was that a good entry, was it not, should I have more faith in my order entry, so on and so forth. And you can go back and look at that, but this is a good way to see what happened throughout the day. And I always recommend saving a log of this, that way that you can track your order entries. Next, we're going to look at the positions window. So if you click trade again, you can find positions right here. These will be all of your live positions that you currently hold. So you'll have the symbol. This is how I have mine set up: symbol, account, shares, average cost, unrealized, bid, ask, and type. I can also configure this to show further things. I can also show a summary row, which will show me my summary of my unrealized profit, my total shares, average cost, so on and so forth. I can also change my color type by position type or by account if I have multiple accounts linked. I can show my cash positions, margin, and short. I can also show my zero share, that's a tough one, zero share positions, which these would be your closed positions that you no longer hold. I can filter out which columns I want to see over here, choosing whichever ones I want to display over here on the right side. And that's the positions window. Next, we have the short locate box. So in DOS Trader Pro, you can find that under trade and then click short locate right here. That will pull up a summary and the ability to search for locates on shares to short. So let's say I want to locate shares of SAEX, and I'm just going to put 100 right here. You can put any number that you want to put right there. It's just going to do an inquiry and tell you what it comes back with. Since we are in after hours and the locate monitor is disabled, it will come up with this message. However, if it were not disabled, it would show what the price per share is and how many shares were available. For me, I have 2 locate services, so I can choose between these 2 right here on these routes, and then I simply just click inquire, and then it shows up. And then once I'm ready to place a locate order, I choose my account number from this drop down window here, and then I type whatever amount of shares I want to locate right there, whether it's 500, 5,000, 50,000, whatever it is, and then I click locate order. It will then come up with a confirm window that will tell you how much the locate is and how much you're going to pay in total fees. And then you can accept it or decline it from there. And that is how the short locate window works. All right, for this one, what we're going to talk about are tabs, or different little sections to break out charts and different layouts. So as you can see here, I have the FANG stocks plus Tesla on this one. And then on the bottom left here, we have line charts as well. And then we have my default layout, which is this default layout that you see here. Now, what you do is you left click in this little area right here, or I'm sorry, right click in that area. You're able to configure these tabs, like you can lay them out in a different way. If you want to, you can remove them, rename them, add a new tab right there, and you just create the new tab name, and you have whatever it is. For me, what I can do is I can hit this hotkey though, and if I'm trading on my laptop and not on multiple screens, I can have different charts open in different tabs. And so what I will do is I will click Shift Tab on my keyboard, and I will jump to the next batch of charts, which is this layout, which is simply just 6 line charts. And I can then go back, and then I'm doing my hotkeys from here. And let's say I change this particular chart to SAEX today. And then let's say I change this particular chart to INPX. And then this chart I want to see MRIN. And then in this chart down here, I want to see Fannie Mae. And then in this chart right here, I want to see PIR. And then in this chart right here, we leave it as agent, whatever it is. I can look at all those quickly, scan, and look at what I'm interested in seeing, and then I can jump back, and then I'm going to go through my FANG charts, but these are my overall market trend charts for big tech, and then we go back to default right there, and I'm just using Shift Tab on the keyboard, and I'm just jumping through these tab windows and just getting a feel for the charts that I'm watching. And that's how I do that. Now we're going to talk about this scanner that's available in DOS Trader. The scanning window can be found in the Tools tab. It's right here under Scanner. When you click Scanner, you can choose different settings that you have right here. What you'll do is you will click Add to create one, and let's just call this one Top Percent Gainers. And you will choose whatever filter you want to see, gaps up or down, price change from the open, volume and price filter, whatever it may be. So let's choose a volume and price filter. And let's say that we don't want to see anything less than $1, and we don't want to see anything over 20, and we don't want to see anything with volume less than 1 million, and no maximum. Commit that. Oh, I'm sorry, we have to define a range. So let's just do like a bunch of 9s. So now, once we have a top percent gainers, we can scan, and there are all of our top percent gainers. We can right click and choose Auto Fit. Now you guys can see how those flash and show up. But now we have everything that's got volume on the day, has a certain change, but now we can go in here, we can configure this, we can choose what we want to see. You can remove return value, and then we can choose percent change. You can arrow that up till it's there, and then we gotta arrow down. Oh, return value has to be in here. So let's get that back up here. That's got to be in row 2. Well, that's how you move them together. Commit that. So there we go. Now we're back, and we can sort by percent change and see what's up the most here in these top percent gainers. But that's the way that you can filter that. You can create a new scan by clicking Add again, and now you can choose, let's say, a gap scan, and we're going to look for gaps up, and we are going to filter by price, and we want to see everything 1 to 20, yeah, 20, and then we want to see a filter volume. We want to see anything between 1 million up to 1 billion or something. Let's see, this is gappers. And then we, or these are gap ups. Commit. Now we're going to scan for those, and those are our gap ups. So now we have DCIX, CIOXY, and BBBY. And you can take a look at those. And then if we want to modify that, we can change that to gap downs. And now we can scan. And we have BKS, BKE, AMD, and EXPR. And now you've got a little ways to scan. But as you can see, the scanner does not catch everything, just catches a little bit. But it can get you by if you're looking for a free option. So there you go. Now we have alerts and triggers. So the alert window is found right here under the bell up here at the top. You can click this bell and you can see these alerts. This is an old alert I set for Yecco. If the last price was greater than or equal to 930, we can probably go ahead and delete that. But now I have this order set to tell me whenever an order fills, that way that I can hear it. You can choose from templates right here, and you can say order or time. Let's take a look at a time one. Say add from template and quit that noise. And then we can edit the alert, and we can look at this, and we can say that whenever the time is equal to 0930, it alerts you, and it auto resets, and it speaks it out, or it makes a sound, and it shows an alert window like it did a second ago. We don't want to see that. We just want to hear a sound. That way, if you're looking at another screen and you miss the market open, at least your computer is telling you it is 9:30. And then you can click right here and change the name to market open, and you can save that. And now it will alert you when the market opens, and then this will also alert you when the order is filled. Or if you want to set a normal price alert, you can say that last price, and you add from template, and let's say you want on the SPY, you want the last price on the SPY to be greater than or equal to 260, whatever. As long as it's greater than or equal to that, you want it to auto reset. I don't do auto delete because then it automatically deletes the old alert. I want to see the stuff that I set alerts for, just to remind myself. Then I can choose whatever I want it to do, whether I want it to speak the alert, make a sound, play it on a loop, so on and so forth, and then you just touch OK, and then it saves it. But if you don't like the alert, you can just delete and then delete from there. But that is it for the alert window. All right, and last but not least, next we're going to talk about layouts. So layouts can be saved on each custom one that you want to do, and you can do many layouts. So right here we have File, and we can choose Open Desktop right there. And then we can choose whichever layout we want. I have these 5. For my laptop, I have this one, and I just click OK, and it preloads my layout. It has all of my tickers and everything saved over here. It has my tabs at the bottom here, and I can jump and switch between all of these different ones. Now, when I'm trading from my laptop, this is what I use for my layout. And then when I'm trading from my main system, I have the 32-inch main. So in the links below this video or in chat, if you want these layouts, I will be happy to share them with anyone. These are my 2 layouts that I have with all of my charting and my different tabs and order boxes set up and layouts, just to kind of get you started and get a way to figure out how you want your screens to be laid out.